This is the JWN Podcast. Welcome to episode 20-something. What are we on? 27. Holy cow. 27 episodes into this. This is a solo show. If you haven't figured it out, I've kind of settled on this pattern. Monday is an interview show, and then sometime towards the end of the week is a solo show. You've landed on solo show. It's proven to be quite the week, not letting us down in its 2020-ness. I mean, we ended last week with the tragically timed passing away of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, somebody who's just spent their life fighting for the rights of women and all Americans, all people. The weight of the decision that was made in 2016 by the American people and the danger of choosing that guy that made them laugh on TV has never been so evident. I mean, you get real-time feedback as to what's going on. You've got all of these people that made a decision back at the end of President Obama's term that no, in an election year, a president should not choose a Supreme Court justice. And of course, they couldn't even wait to backtrack. They couldn't even wait to flip-flop on that one. It's unbelievable. But it's so believable. And then, of course, this week, I'm reading the news this morning about the lack of justice going on for Breonna Taylor. 2020 keeps delivering with the shit. Just the awful shit. But today's show is not going to focus on that. I know he started off with it, but that's it. We're going to push that aside. We're going to suppress it. We're going to suppress it like a teenage boy who just doesn't want to deal with his feelings. That's not true. I mean, we're going to deal with our feelings. We're going to deal with a lot of things. Today's topic that I want to talk about is basically self-care. And it's influenced by Angel Bond's interview that we did last week. If you haven't checked that out, please check it out. It's such a good episode. She's awesome. She went through her surgery that she talks about in that podcast today. Or maybe as I'm recording this, she did it yesterday. And she's out of surgery. She's healthy. They had to, unfortunately, remove her whole thyroid because it was in extremely bad shape. There was no saving any part of it. But she's on the mend. Got a message from her today that her dad loved the episode, loved the interview, which is heartwarming to know that, her dad liked it. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, the theme of that was really coming to grips with the idea of self-care and how important it is to start paying attention to your body. Not even as you get older, but as I get older, it became more apparent. I'm going to tell you my story today. But before I get into that, I just want to let you know that I am excited about something. I did sign up for not one, but 2 half marathons that as of now are still going on. One is the Low Country Trail half marathon, and that's coming up extremely quickly, like October 10th. And the other one is in November, and that's the Bo Hickett half marathon. That's going to be a road race. It's still on. They haven't canceled it yet. I ran that race last year, and it was fun. I remember taking it easy on that race, too. I was like, I just wanted to treat it like a good, clean, long run because I was training for a marathon, and I didn't want to overdo it at that race. But I remember having a lot of fun. It was rainy and it was cold. But I remember during that race last year having a moment of elation. I got a major runner's high in the middle of that race. I was running across a bridge. It was raining. I had a rain jacket on and I pulled it off and I just let the rain hit me and I felt amazing. And I was just like, this is great. I love this. The runner's high is real, people. When it hits you, you know, because it's just It's unmistakable. You just feel elated. You feel great. You feel at one with your body, and you feel like your body's rewarding you for all of your hard work. But yeah, this is how these marathons are breaking down. This is how they're handling, or these half marathons, I should say. This is how they're handling these races. So for the Low Country Trail half marathon, and now I've run in this course before. It's in Johns Island in Charleston. It's actually a horse trail, so it's not that difficult of a trail run, but it is not on pavement, so it's on soft ground. And so depending on the weather, it can change drastically how you attack the race. But this is how they're handling it. There's no packet pickup. They're mailing all of the bibs to people. There's no award ceremony afterwards. Any awards that people win and their T-shirts will all be mailed after the race. For water stations, they're just doing bottled water. That's kind of unfortunate. I think I might bring my own water so I just can cut down on the waste. Since it'll be on a trail, I'll just put on maybe a waste pack or something. It's only a half marathon. I won't need a ton of water. Bibs are required. Participants, staff, volunteers, and chaperones are permitted on site only, so there's no spectators. Trail runs tend to be less attended than road races, and I remember running this course needing a gaiter, like a face mask, pre-pandemic, because at the beginning of the race, when everyone started, so much dust was kicked up that you couldn't breathe. So I remember that. So I'm not opposed to running with a mask on for a race. In the winter months, I will run with a gaiter all the time. I had one for the Charleston Marathon, not the Charleston Marathon. I apologize for the Atlanta half marathon. I ran with one, and I spent a good portion of that race because it was chilly. It was really cold with with face mask on, with the gaiter. So that's cool. And they're going to, both of these races, they're going to stagger the start times. So for that Bo Hickett half marathon, that is a road race. And it was smaller. It wasn't a giant race. It wasn't like there was thousands upon thousands of people. There was hundreds of people, which is still a lot. But let's see. Each runner will receive a gaiter provided by the Charleston Running Club to wear during this event. And the starting area will be divided with caution tape into 5 6-foot lanes. And they're going to mark them every 8 feet crosswise. So I guess 6 feet by 8 feet to divide everybody. They're going to do water bottles and Gatorade bottles. Again, I'll probably do the same thing, carry my own water just to cut down on the waste. Bathrooms will be professionally sanitized after every use. Okay, that's a little weird. I get it, but it's not in the woods. Can't go off behind a tree, so it is in a neighborhood. I guess it is what it is. After party refreshments will be provided at this race on the boardwalk with proper social distancing observed. Probably won't stay around for that. Temperature checks before entering the corrals. That's perfect. And awards will be available post-run with proper social distancing observed. I don't have a problem with that. If you won a age group, or there's only so many people that can win an award. If you didn't win an award, just go. Don't stay around to watch it. And they're doing chip time only for timing, which is normal. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm excited. That's how we're going to get this done. This is how we're going to race in South Carolina this winter. And these things can change if the infection rate spikes to a point where they go, you know what, this isn't worth it. They'll cancel it. And I'm cool with that. If I lose the money, I'll lose the money. I'm going to sign up for a virtual race for the Avondale 5K. My neighbor is actually one of the organizers of that. And I feel awful for them because it's the biggest fundraiser for this Charles Webb Foundation that it benefits. And if they can't have it, it's going to affect this foundation immensely. So yeah, I'm going to do that, even though I'm not a fan of these virtual races. Honestly, I'm going to run anyway, but I don't want to do a virtual race because I'm not going to put in my full effort. I'm just not. I know how I am. If I'm in a race environment, I will try harder. If I'm by myself running the same route that I run every day to run, I'm just going to run the same way I run every day to keep my fitness up. So that's that. Let's move on to our main topic. Self-care. So the World Health Organization defines self-care as the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and to cope with illness and disability with or without the support of a healthcare provider. But I think to most people, it means different things. Psychology Today says self-care, in essence, is the mindful taking of time to pay attention to you, not in a narcissistic way, but in a way that ensures that you are being cared for by you. See, that's a very different definition than the World Health Organization. It's more about you taking care of you. What does it mean to you? As a man, as a dude, a guy, whatever you want to call me, I might have a very different take on it. For me, it basically means to put the needs of my health and mentally and physically, to put those needs first in order to be able to provide whatever service that I need to provide, whether it's for my family or for the people that I service in my business. In order to give them everything that I'm able to give them, I have to take care of myself first. And that is not something I grew up with. That's not a mentality I grew up with. It's something I learned later in life. And I think for a lot of people, that's true. It's extremely hard to take care of yourself and not feel like you're being selfish. It's extremely hard. There's a fine line too. And sometimes I cross over that. Sometimes I will take care of myself to the point of detriment to my business or to my family. And, sometimes you need a third party, whether it be a partner or a coworker of some sort, or somebody of great intelligence who knows you well enough to know when you're bullshitting yourself. But for the most part, I've been learning this very carefully. There's a lot of scamminess around the self-care, the industry. Like self-help stuff there's so much money in this that it's so scammy. Most pyramid schemes, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it, I have a bad taste in my mouth with all of them. But I understand there's so many of them that a lot of times you don't even know that they're a pyramid scheme, or MLM, as they like to be called. You got to be careful. They're all very litigious. If you call them what they are, if you call a table, and instead of a eating apparatus, I don't know, they get very litigious. They find the very legal definitions of pyramid scheme, and they'll move a 1 or a 0, just enough to make it so, well, we're doing all the same stuff, but we're not doing it with a blue shirt. We're doing it with a red shirt. You follow what I'm saying? They change something just enough to reclassify themselves. Oh, we are a network marketing. Are you? Or are you preying on people in need? Because that's usually what it is. So there's a lot of scamminess in this community. There's also a lot of, for lack of a better term, woo. And when I say woo, I mean you can't prove it. It just sounds nice. Like, oh, this inanimate object is going to give you spiritual power. What does that even mean? No, it's not. It's not going to get, there's energy in this. Well, yeah, there is energy in an inanimate object because it's made up of atoms, and even the stone is made up of atoms that are moving at a microscopic level. That's how it's held together. It doesn't just blast apart because there's energy inside of it. holding it together. So yes, everything has energy. So when someone says this crystal has healing energy, no, it doesn't. It's holding itself together. So again, I'm very skeptical. I'm probably sounding like a curmudgeon at this point, but I'm also very open-minded. On top of that, I do understand that I am not an expert and I don't know the answers to everything. I sometimes wonder if I know the answers to anything. So that said, this is what I believe self-care to be. I have found that attacking it from a physical standpoint involves the hardest thing that anyone in a westernized civilization has to come to grips with. And that is what you eat. I mean, what you put in your body is so important. It's the number one thing that you have to think about and be realistic with yourself about. Because we are so conditioned from an early age to eat garbage. The reasons why you love most food are because it's either sweet or salty or savory, and that means they've extracted sugar unnaturally and added it into your food to make it really sweet. They've extracted salt and reintroduced it into your food to make it salty, and they've extracted oils. They get oils out of everything. Oh, here's a palm tree. We're gonna just get the oil out of it. Here's palm oil. Like, what? Okay, I didn't even know you could get palm oil out of. All right, great. But that shit's deadly. It's deadly. Those three things right there. Again, I am not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I am not a scientist. But those three things are, from what I have learned in my adult life, are the enemies of your health. Sugar or processed sugar, salt at unbelievably inhumane levels, and oils. So sugar, salt, oil. If you can eat a diet that doesn't have any added sugar, salt, or oil, you will witness a miracle in your life. If your diet contains all those, which if you're eating a standard American diet, it does. So that's number one, is what you eat. Now, people will say, well, you can eat ethically as a vegan, or you can be an ethical meat eater, or pescatarian. All these different levels of like rules that people put around what they eat, but all of them have the ability to be tainted with sugar, salt, and oil. So there's no like, I'm not going to eat any animal products. Yeah, but you could still eat garbage. You could still eat an Oreo, which is garbage. You can still eat an Impossible Burger, which is garbage. You can still, you know what I'm saying? There's so much. You can still eat potato chips, garbage. So if you can figure out a way to get rid of that stuff, then yes, you've done the single hardest thing to do in my vision of what self-care is cleaning up your diet. And part of the diet thing is something more recently that I have trying to figure out the best way to say it without just coming out and saying it, but just cutting out alcohol. It's such a huge thing. And it's something that I talked about with Angel, that her and her husband, I believe, have done in their life as well. It's such a game changer because it helps you. Besides the health factors of removing alcohol from your body and not straining your body to process the alcohol and to deal with all of the repercussions of getting some alcohol in you. Besides all that, it just frees your mind. It gives you better insight into where your body's at. And for her, it definitely helped her identify some of her physical problems. So yeah, definitely as part of the diet thing, if you can remove alcohol, and I mean, smoking is not even, I don't even have to bring that up. If you're smoking and you're interested in taking care of yourself, then yeah, tackle that first, because that's really difficult. I should probably say that is the most difficult, but I don't think that's more difficult than changing your eating. Honestly, I've done all of the aboves that I've mentioned so far, and smoking was not the hardest. Smoking sucked. Smoking is more psychological for me. It was more of like a, hey, this is part of me. This is this appendage that's always in my hand that I'm putting in my mouth. It's part of every routine. I do this, I go have a cigarette. I do that, I go have a cigarette. You know what I'm saying? Like breaking yourself of that mental routine is hard, but changing the way you eat is so much more. You can't avoid feeling judged. People will bring it up if you talk about it, or if they notice that you're not eating what they're eating. They will uh, they will ask you questions. They will talk about it. Or if you physically change, if you lose a lot of weight because you change your diet, people will ask a lot of questions. So you got to be prepared for that. It's very hard. It's very difficult. It's the most dramatic thing. The other thing, the next topic of what self-care is to me is exercise, which none of this is a mystery at this point, right? So with exercise, for me, it started going to the gym. As soon as I lost a significant amount of weight by changing my diet, this is going back maybe 4 or 5 years, I guess, at this point. As soon as I lost a significant amount of weight, I signed up for a gym membership because I was like, okay, I'm down in a weight, but I've also lost muscle. I need to tone up because I'm just like wasting away, and I want to build some healthy weight back up. So I did that. I went to the gym and I was just trying different things. And my brother-in-law kept asking, he kept hinting, hey, maybe we should run this bridge run that goes on every year. It would be fun. And I kind of toyed with the idea, and yeah, I started to run on the treadmill at the gym, and slowly but surely I started getting into running, and one thing led to another. Next thing you know, running became my go-to physical activity. And then the next thing that I introduced after that physically, which also kind of somewhat went in with a spiritual thing, was yoga. And if you've listened to this podcast since episode 1, holy cow, thank you. But you can go back and listen to episode 1. That's Mandy is the first guest on this podcast. She was my first yoga teacher. So that was a very fun conversation to find out how she got to where she is. So that was part of my physical thing, because I realized when I was going to the gym and running that I was extremely stiff. I just, years of sedentary lifestyle had left my body completely unable to be flexible in any kind of way. And so I introduced yoga, and that was a long process of getting myself up to the point where I could go and make it through, an hour-long power class, which is not easy. I'm a sweaty guy. I will sweat a lot, and there would be a moat around my yoga mat after every class. And unfortunately, that has kind of gone away with this pandemic. I have not been to a hot yoga class since March. So yeah, that was something else I introduced. And most recently, swimming. Swimming has come now that there's a pool near my house that's easily accessible, and it's just a beautiful facility. I've started swimming again, which might be a new addiction. Who knows? So we'll see where that goes, because it is definitely a lot of fun for me. And it's a full body workout. Like running, you're getting cardio, and it's a lot of, waist down exercise. You're getting very little upper body movement as far as, you're swinging your arms and things like that. And your posture is important, but you're not like taxing it. But swimming is a whole, now I'm getting to use my arms, now I feel like I'm getting the full package now, because I have also stopped going to the gym because of this pandemic. But yeah, so swimming has been fantastic. So there you go. So you get your diet in check. Number one, get your exercise in check. Find things that work for you and your body and your abilities and build on them and work on them. That's number two. And then number three is the spiritual side. And this is where this conversation gets tricky. We're being manipulated by social media. I haven't seen that new Netflix documentary that everyone seems to be talking about. I haven't seen it yet. But it's been quite clear for a while that this tool that was supposed to bring us together is being used to tear us apart. The capitalist machine, in the need to sell us stuff, is, on a race to the bottom, on the race to split us up into nicely packaged ideas of what a person is, so that they can find the right product to sell us. The scarier aspect is that people are using this social media tool against us for other reasons that are being demonstrated all the time. Countries are using it to manipulate public opinion. It's pretty alarming. But where I see it on social media is, today a friend of mine posted something, a sentiment that maybe a lot of us might share for a split second because of our frustration. But he elaborated on this, but he essentially just said America should just be split to two separate countries. And I messaged him privately and I said, I don't know if you've been watching that show, Raised by Wolves, where, the religious people and the atheists have basically a war on Earth and destroy the planet. And they try to repopulate on another Earth-like planet. And the atheists kind of send androids with fetuses that they farm to create a new planet of godless people. And of course, the religious people also show up to stir the pot and start the whole reason why the Earth ended over again. You're not going to win by dividing us. You're not going to, I don't know if winning is the right word, but you're not going to succeed by chipping away at all of our differences. And, how does this relate to the spiritual journey? Well, I grew up going to Catholic school. I went to church every Sunday, but I've pretty much abandoned organized religion. And I just use it as a way to try to learn about different cultures, different people, and the things that they use to gauge whether or not they're making good decisions. And I respect it. But I've realized that it's not for me. Like, even Buddhism, the more I look into it, the more I'm just like, there's a lot of great philosophies in here. There's a lot of great things to learn, and there's aspects of it that I actually do believe. But on the whole, I'm like, it's, at the end of the day, it's just another. It's not a one size fits all type of situation. Like, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not going to go all in on something like that when I see there's problems and I'm like, oh, I don't like that aspect right there, so I'm not going to use it. Well, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say I'm this with an asterisk. No, I'm just going to say, like, hey, I like this idea. I like that idea. Kind of make my own spiritual makeup. It's tough. The biggest thing that the current state of social media has taught me is that interacting with real people in real life is much healthier than doing it virtually. It's just better for the soul. It's easy to stop listening to people online because they'll say something that upsets you and you can just stop it right there and you can react. You can't see them. You can't feel them. You can't read the thousands of forms of unspoken conversations that occur when you're interacting with a human in person. And I think we have these extreme gut reactions to things that people say or do that upset us. And we're possibly letting those unfiltered and unrealized gut reactions change who we are. Instead of taking a second to think about what you're feeling and why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and why the person that you're receiving this from digitally is saying the thing that they're saying, we're allowing ourselves to be robbed of basic compassion. And that's going to stunt our maturity. It's going to stunt our ability to grow into this new frontier of a social media landscape. And I don't know how to fix that with the tools that are at hand. I kind of like this podcasting thing, though. It does give you the ability to say these things out loud, and then I can go back and listen to them and really think about it. Like, do I want to put that out in the world? Well, right now, yes, I do. So then I'll let it go. Or I've recorded episodes of this podcast where I never released them because I was like, I don't know if I'm done letting that idea cook, or I think maybe I have to find a better way to say it, or I'm just not sure if I believe it. I might be there right at that moment, and maybe I don't. This is where that self-censoring thing comes in, because we live in a world now that I didn't grow up in, where you can say something and maybe, a day from now or a year from now, 10 years from now, you learn something and you improve upon what you had previously believed and you change your mind. But we're not allowed to forget these days. You could believe one thing today and tomorrow you could learn more information, and, and I'm not talking about it in the sense of certain leadership saying, hey, you can never do this. There's a tradition of this until it fits their needs. I'm not talking about being a hypocrite. I'm talking about, worldviews and things like that you might believe that, say something as simple as you like the taste of broccoli. Maybe one day you hated it and then somebody cooked it for you the right way and you like it. I mean, it's a lot deeper than that. That's a pretty awful example. Whatever. I think you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's the spirituality side for me, is to basically be more compassionate and look for ways to try to understand where people are coming from, especially when you disagree with them, instead of allowing yourself to fall victim to that gut reaction that I think a lot of us are suffering from. That, why are you feeling that gut reaction? And is that being done on purpose? Are you being set up to react in a negative way? I guess at the end of the day, to put it simply, just be kind. So yeah, there's my definition of self-care. Fix your diet, and that's simply try to minimize the amount of sugar, salt, and oils. Right there. That's it. And then on top of that, curb the alcohol. Maybe just stop drinking it altogether, or any other kind of substances that aren't really natural or serving you. On the physical side, exercise, move your body, use it. Use all of it. Find ways to move your body. Use it. Stretch it. Push it. Don't hurt yourself. Try not to hurt yourself, but use it. And on the spiritual side, strive to be kind. That's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you got something out of that. I'm trying to keep things real and basic. As they come to me, I feel like I need to talk about it, and there you go. Don't forget, reach out on social media at Joe Latex. That's at JOEL, the number 8X. It means not Joel. Everyone thinks my name is Joel. It's Joe or Joseph, not Joel. But if you call me Joel, I'm probably not going to correct you. So So at Joe Latex on social media as far as Instagram and Twitter. And check out the show, JWNpod.com. You can send me an email through that form on that website. I'd like to hear from you. Send me some ideas. Send me some thoughts. All right. Have a great weekend. Peace.